In the middle of the 2022 season, Justin Verlander felt something was off. He seemingly knew something was off. It was the baseball. Before warming up that day in the Bronx before a game against the Yankees, Verlander went up to an MLB official and was overheard saying, "When are you gonna fix the effing baseballs?" If you've been paying attention to baseball somewhat over the last 5 years, you've probably heard at least one thing of controversy regarding the baseballs. Like, literally, the baseballs themselves, and it pretty much started back in 2017. 2017 was a record-shattering year for home runs hit by the entire league, with players league-wide connecting for 6,104 home runs, which beat out the previous MLB record of 5,693 set in 2000. I mean, that's not even close. 2017 just blew that right out of the water. 2000, of course, was a year that featured a ton of PED users, being that it was in the heart of the steroid era, but steroids were not rampant across the league in 2017. So, what was going on? Well, as much as home runs were up in 2017, there was actually a trend which started back in 2015. In an article for The Ringer in 2017, two men tested 3 dozen game-used baseballs and actually found evidence that in 2015 the balls became slightly bouncier, and in 2016 the balls became slightly smaller and with lower seams, and that's when people across baseball started to become suspicious. Mets manager at the time, Terry Collins, talked about how he felt the seams on the ball were definitely lower, and that probably had to do with why players were having blister problems out of nowhere, adding on that he had no doubt the ball was harder, too. Not too long after that, pitcher Johnny Cueto blamed the baseball being quote-unquote tighter, having to do with the cause of the first blisters he'd ever gotten in his career. Commissioner Rob Manfred would deny the allegations of the baseball being juiced, going on to say that baseballs continue to be tested and fall within their designated measurable limits. But several months later, during March of 2018, more research found evidence of a big difference in the composition of the cores of baseballs produced before 2015 and after 2015, with Major League Baseball going on to investigate themselves and find that the increase in home runs was at least partly due to a quote-unquote change in the aerodynamic properties of the baseball. 2019 then arrived, and it was even crazier than 2017. Before I get any further, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 70% of my watch time has been from people who aren't subscribed, so hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. Okay, back to the video. Remember how 2017 blew away the 2000 season as far as home runs went? Well, 2019 won up 2017, and that wasn't even close either. In 2019, the league combined for 6,776 home runs. That's almost 1,000 more than the steroid-infested 2000 season and over 600 more than 2017. That's insane, and once again, the juice ball theory was brought up, with Rob Manfred even admitting the baseball was different at one point, although, according to him, he did not know why. Shortly before the 2019 All-Star Game, Manfred acknowledged the difference in the baseballs, saying, quote, "Our scientists that have been now studying the baseballs more regularly have told us that this year the baseball has a little less drag. We are trying to understand exactly why that happened and build out a manufacturing process that gives us a little more control over what's going on. But you have to remember that our baseball is a handmade product and there's going to be variation year to year." End quote. As far as how the players felt, I mean, we know how Justin Verlander felt, with him telling ESPN that the balls used in Major League Baseball games that season are an effing joke, and that he believes 100% that the league has implemented juiced balls to increase offense, going on to add that he feels he's always walking a tightrope now, and that 7, 8, and 9 hole hitters can go the other way for home runs as well, something they couldn't do 5 years prior, at least not off of him. After the surging power league-wide, in February of 2021, the league did the exact opposite with the baseballs, sending out a memo to all 30 teams outlining changes to the ball for the upcoming season, changes that were designed to deaden the ball. In that memo, MLB wrote that the ball flight, so for example a 400-foot fly ball, would be reduced by a foot or two with the new baseballs. And the amount of home runs hit in 2021? under 6,000, 5,944 homers to be exact, which was over 800 less than the last full baseball season, 2019. Thanks to Dr. Meredith Wills and the research put into this baseball issue, there were some pretty interesting discoveries. When it comes to knowing what baseballs were made and when exactly they were made, we can actually figure that out down to the week it was produced in Rawlings' factory in Costa Rica by examining and decoding 6-letter batch codes that are printed on the inside of each ball's leather cover. This process of dating each ball is what led to Wills discovering that 2 different baseballs were used during the 2021 season, which the league actually admitted to when asked about it. They may have admitted to one of Wills' discoveries, but denied another one she found, saying that the heavier, lively baseballs that were in circulation in the 2021 season had not been manufactured that year, with Manfred calling the researcher, Meredith Wills, wrong about her claim that she found the heavier and lively balls were manufactured in 2021. Despite Manfred's denial, roughly a quarter of the 88 juiced baseballs that Wills had obtained over the last 2 seasons, according to the batch codes, were indeed manufactured in 2021. And when asked about how he knew for a fact that Wills' research was wrong, Manfred said, quote unquote, "Honestly, I can't help you on that one." The biggest discovery that Wills was able to find was that with the 2 different baseballs being used, there was a third added to the mix in 2022, and what Wills refers to as the Goldilocks balls. If you don't understand the reference, what the Goldilocks baseball is basically a baseball that isn't too heavy nor too light, but rather just right. 20 of the baseballs the research team obtained featured a commemorative stamp. For some examples, the 2022 Home Run Derby balls, World Series balls, or baseballs commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Texas Rangers' inaugural season. Those balls were effectively made for a particular circumstance and would never be used outside those specific events or home parks, and in the sample that was accumulated, nearly all of the specialty marked balls or commemorative balls were Goldilocks balls. As for the regular, standard Major League Baseballs that make up the majority of ones used, they were almost always the dead ball. Almost, key word, because there were some exceptions. There were 20 normal standard non-commemorative baseballs that were Goldilocks balls. 9 were baseballs used during the postseason, stemming across 4 postseason rounds. So what about the other 11? Well, the other 11 baseballs of the 20 regular Goldilocks balls obtained by Meredith Wills for the research were obtained from Yankees games, all found to be used in August, September, and the brief schedule of regular season games for the Yankees in October. Those 3 months, of course, featured Aaron Judge's historic home run chase to try and tie or beat the previous Yankee and American League home run king Roger Maris, something Judge would end up accomplishing. Is this confirmed? No. Is it proven? No, but honestly, I would not be surprised if what these findings imply are indeed true, which is that Major League Baseball purposefully put in the Goldilocks baseballs, the baseballs that weren't too light nor heavy, but just right and the most hitter-friendly, in Yankees games to help Judge break the record. It would make sense. Judge's home run chase was a big deal, and something that brought a lot of eyes and attention to the game of baseball. Again, I'm not going to tell you that Aaron Judge's 62 home run season was illegitimate in any way. People can have their own opinions on the matter. For example, at the end of the day, there's nothing set in stone to tell us that Barry Bonds' single season and all-time home run records were illegitimate. It's opinion-based, which is why the topic of how legit Bonds' records are splits baseball's fans in half with differing opinions. Bonds was of course on the juice, all steroided up, whereas in comparison, at least some of the balls that Judge hit for home runs were potentially juiced. At the end of the day, Aaron Judge's 2022 MVP and historical season will forever go down in the history books as a bright spot for baseball, and I don't really see much that can change or taint that. With that said, there is evidence that shows MLB might have at least attempted to liven up some moments during the season by juicing certain baseballs up, like for the Home Run Derby, like for the postseason, and like for Yankees games during the thick of Aaron Judge's historic home run chase. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.